Scott Bowman. I have been thinking about the virus and all the different ways you can deal with it, and new science that we're learning, and all these kind of things. And we know that indoors is a risky place for virus transmission. And you, sir, I know are well versed in the indoor world of moving air and warming it
Yes,
up and cooling it off. So
right.
just give us a brief, what qualifications you have and what you do, and tell us
Sure.
about what you know.
Well, I am a mechanical engineer, and I've been in the HVAC buildings systems world now for pretty close to 40 years, mostly commercial and large industrial, large healthcare, large office buildings, quite a few buildings in Des Moines, for sure, and some of the largest buildings in Des Moines. And my focus has always been sustainability, indoor quality, the indoor environment, those types of things. So I've always had a special affinity to the kind of a building not just being a place to stay or to live, but also to hopefully heal and hopefully support the people that are in it. So that's kind of where I've been doing. I am a LEED fellow, which means I'm recognized as a expert in that side, the sustainability side. So I've been working in this for a long time.
We're in a different time when there's stuff in the air, and
Right.
that's dangerous, deadly. We're in winter, and people are going to be indoors in colder climates. Tell us about the new technology, and what's involved in capturing particles out of the air that we don't want to breathe in.
Sure. So I think first it's probably good to know what it is. We know that it's a virus. We know that it has a particularly long life on surfaces. And we know that it also has its primary transmission mode appears. Again, we don't know everything about it, but its primary um, uh, infection point appears to be droplets that are passed from one person to another. And that's why we talk a lot about masks. That's why we talk about why they're effective when both people or all people are wearing the mask. It's not just to protect yourself, you're protecting others. And the issue is that waterborne or droplet-borne virus will exist in the air for quite a while. If you sneeze or cough, you're talking about really sending them feet away, many feet away. In our homes, it's a different situation than in a commercial office building or an office building. But in your home, almost all the air is recirculated. So that air that you breathe in, breathe out, then goes into the unit and circulates within the house. And houses tend to be either fairly leaky in the old ones, older houses with quite a bit of infiltration, and or fairly tight in new buildings and newer construction. And so the amount of ventilation air that we get into our houses or our buildings is a direct relation to the air quality. So I think we've got to think about all those facts. And, some of the things that are encouraging to me is some of the studies that I've been seeing show that if there's good mask wearing in separation, schools seem to be doing okay. I mean, I don't know that anything's safe, but it seems like schools have the direct transmission in a school classroom seems much, much lower than it would be in an office or out in public or in meetings. So I think that's an encouraging sign that the schools are getting enough ventilation or recirculating the air, those types of things. So we're really after the virus. The virus is very small. I can't remember, but I think it's in the microns. So go ahead.
It's a quick question. I mean, schools are still using the same technology, they haven't like updated their technology or anything, air handling wise.
Newer schools are using a much better system. I think about probably the last 5 or 6 years of the schools that my old firm designed would probably fare pretty well because they have quite a bit of airflow. They have quite a bit of ventilation, especially spring and fall. They can bring in 100% outside air, so not recirculate any air, and have good filtration, those types of things. Now you think way back, a school with radiators and windows, ironically, if you open the windows, that would be pretty good. So, and they also are very leaky. And I don't know that this is a fact, but I would guess practically that an old leaky house is safer than a tight house that doesn't have good ventilation. Right?
Yeah.
So you may spend an energy what you are risking in airflow.
Yeah.
So I'd say from a technology standpoint, and something that I did fairly early on, and I just bought a couple more, is getting an air purifier. So they make lots and lots of different kinds out there. The key point is make sure it's got HEPA, HEPA filtration. HEPA is 99.999% effective, 4 nines. It is primarily used in healthcare. So like in an OR, all the air, whether it came from outside or a little bit from inside, all goes through a HEPA filter before it might be in contact with a human. So it's actually on the discharge of the fan, very, very close. And in many cases, it's in the ceiling of the operating room, so that it's the last cleaning of the air before it might get into a wound.
You can purchase standalone units, right?
Correct.
And
So
put them in a room.
You can put them in a room, and depending on the room size, it can respond fairly quickly as far as changing the air in that room. If you're going to do that, it's pretty much room-based. We have 2 of them in our house. Back in Idaho. I'm actually in Maryland right now. I got one for my daughter, but and we have a larger industrial one that we're using where the contractors are doing some work. So we put that there to kind of keep that kind of away from us while we're in the other parts of the house. But so what I do is I have it in my office all day. I work from home, so I'm at my computer or in my studio, right? I work with Lego, and so and then we keep one in the bedroom at all times. And we bought a type that actually looks at the air quality, and then it will ramp it up if it needs it. But overall, it's more that it's just on all the time. So that a HEPA filter takes out viruses. It takes out that small moisture. Also, the ones that I purchased have either an ionizer, or sometimes there's other technologies that charge the particles in the air that it's exhausting. That charge attracts other components that might have the virus on it and catch it the next time through.
Wow.
So having that as an additional onto it, the HEPA is really going to be the force. The ionization doesn't capture or kill. It actually just helps capture it the next time it sees it in the filter. So, so that's one area. Another one is increasing and improving the filtration in your home system or your building. Newer buildings, the last, again, 4 or 5 years, almost all the buildings that we designed have 65% or what is called a MERV 13 filter. The weird, or that expanded fiberglass 1-inch thick piece of junk that you used to get for your furnace, that's a MERV 3. So I call that as capturing 57 Buicks, and that's about it. Doesn't really capture much else. It might catch some rocks and gravel, but it's really not going to filter the air. A MERV 13 does capture a lot. It would actually capture larger things. Maybe not the virus if it was on its own or on a small water droplet, but if it was on any other debris or any other particle, it would probably catch it. It's really good for dust control in homes. You'll see your return air grills will be less dusty. The problem is not all fans can handle that. It does increase what we call the pressure drop. That pressure drop takes more energy to push or pull the air through the filter. So if you're replacing your unit, put a 4-inch MERV 13 filter in it. If you are looking to retrofit, you need to find out whether your fan, most fans have some adjustments. They call them contacts. There's usually 5 or 6 speeds they can go. And hopefully there's a couple new steps they could go that could help you do that in an existing home. But that's definitely going to be more costly. Although frankly, those standalone units, the ones that I knew they were on sale and I got 2 at 150 each. I went to get my daughter 2 and they were 250.
Oh, wow.
So,
Timing.
So 250 to 500 would be a good high quality unit. Much lower than that, I'd be very suspect as to whether they've got ionization and whether the HEPA filter and whether it's got variable speeds, because it's noisy, right? You've got a fan on all the time.
Yeah.
And during the day, I might have it higher than I do at night, right? From a sleeping standpoint.
Yeah.
So the other side that actually kills the virus is UV, ultraviolet. And that technology can also be applied, not so much kind of standalone, although there are some purifiers that have UV in them. You can buy a standalone. The problem is it's going to be very expensive because UV in general is expensive. You can't look at UV. You'll actually hurt your eyes. So it can't be something you see. A lot of, I think most of the airlines now are disinfecting their airlines in between flights or probably end of day kinds of things. And they use a UV light, but you'll see that the people that are using it have glasses that help filter that out, and they can use it away from them, that kind of thing. You can put UV inside your furnace. It doesn't have any pressure drop. It's usually done on the inlet to a coil, so like the cooling coil or the heat exchanger. And as the air passes through your unit, it will radiate or kill the virus, and then the virus is going to come out in the filters at that point, the dead virus. It doesn't kill everything just as it goes by. It's one of those things that takes some exposure time. So the particle might go through a couple of times as far as recirculating your home before it would die. So it's not an instant fix by any means, but it's definitely kills all biologics, all viral type pathogens. So that's a possibility, but it's expensive.
Can it retrofit? Do they retrofit? Yes.
Yeah. So you could put that and it would have no pressure drop. So there's an advantage. But I haven't priced it recently, but it's in the probably, it could get pretty close to $1,000 pretty quickly. So it's got some cost to it, some energy as well, because it's obviously on all the time, and it works when your unit is circulating air. So you want to run your furnace more in order to help kill that. I did see something unique the other day. I was looking at some of the technologies, and there's a company that I just love their name. They're actually one of the best in the industry, and it's called Big Ass Fans. They make really good large diameter. They're called low velocity, high volume fans. So they're like 20 foot in diameter. They use them for industrial. They also make some really nice higher end fans for homes, so ceiling fans. They've got a version now that's a ceiling fan that has UV going up.
Mm.
So it gives you that blue light that you see from a UV.
Mhm.
You can't see it directly, so you're safe from seeing it. You have to see the element. The reflection is not a problem. And it circulates the air. So it can actually, in a room,
Wow.
but that's getting close to 1,500 to 2,000. So
Yeah.
it's not an inexpensive, um, not
But
an inexpensive fix. We're going to be dealing with this and or the next one, right? I mean, we may have another one coming down the pipe.
that's the thing. That's the thing. That's why looking at this and talking about this and learning about it, and you know, the people in the business are figuring out new ways to mitigate, and so
Well,
that's
and as a technology gets adopted more, the price will come down.
right.
I even think we're going to see, anytime we see a big demand, right now it's hard to get purifiers, but you know, you think about it, somebody else is seeing that as an opportunity, right? So they're going to come up with something and they're going to get out there. So
Yeah.
A lot of this technology, I think we will see reductions in price
Yeah.
and increases in availability. It's just
Yeah.
going to take some time.
Technology will catch up, and production and all that kind of stuff. Well, thanks a lot, Scott. I really appreciate it. It's been very interesting, and I'm sure the information will be good and help people moving ahead.
Sure. And I fully encourage, if somebody's got a question or something, if they want to want to ask me a question or something, I will make sure and give you the email, and
Okay.
they could send me a question if they want
Yeah.
to.
Put it on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay to put it on the screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.